Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Afternoon, everybody. Very, very welcome to special Arsenal Lounge episode, transfer special show, as we call it. It's been a while.
That was smooth, Shaheen.
Yeah, well, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. How are you, man? You good, Dan?
Mate, I'm all good, bro, and absolute pleasure to come back on with you. I'm back in the UK after a great holiday at Croatia. If no one has been, get yourself over to Dubrovnik. It is a beautiful country and an unbelievable place to visit. But now I'm back to I would say rain and miserable weather, but actually it's quite pleasant, bro. So, maybe I've brought the sunshine back with me. Do you know what I mean?
You certainly have. You got some exciting news as well, Dan. Some new venture, new channel.
Yeah. Nah, cheers, mate. I appreciate that. So, I'm still with AFTV, Lead Judges TV, and all that malarkey, but I thought it was time I did something on my own. I wanted to do something a little bit different. So, I've started my new Premier League podcast channel, which is called Football's 12th Man. So, I've got quite a few influencers that a lot of you will recognise from all teams across the Premier League. So, we're doing content in relation to that now as well. So, yeah, it will be great, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've had a couple of videos now. I think I've only done 2 or 3 videos for now, and it's still growing. And on the way to 2K. So if there's anyone who is like to support the channel, and I would love that I subscribe. Cheers for that, Shaheen.
What was the name of it?
Football's 12th Man, mate. Football's 12th Man podcast.
Check it out, people, and give him a watch. Lev, what's been happening, man?
I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be talking football again. I love the fact that you're. Dan, congratulations for your new channel and all that rubbish.
Cheers, bro.
In the background, he was giving fucking more fucking podcasters now, and more channel competition. That's what he was really saying, Dan. Don't even listen to it.
Man, I'm no competition to you.
Don't be. But no, on a serious note, yeah, it's just interesting to have a chat about. Not much really, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do this show actually. I've been wanting to do this show for a while now, and I've seen people do some shows about this transfer daily, and the likes of Tom. They do it every day. Give us update on the rumors and everything that's been happening. But one thing that I have not seen around a lot, and I think that is the Achilles heel of Arsenal, if you like, it's the outgoings. Because we are particularly poor in selling our players. And I give you, just to sum it up, because I can talk about this all evening. Just to sum it up, we sold Matthew Guendouzi to Marseille for £11 million or 10 million, and we bought Sambi Lokonga for 20. Similar sort of age, right? Similar sort of age, but one has got far superior quality in Mathieu Guendouzi, and he certainly could have done a job for us last week. So it's things like that makes you sit down and think, what are these guys are doing, man? And it causes a bit of concern. So anyway, I've managed to create something, and this is going to be a feature on shows going forward for next season, certainly. So today's my first time doing this, so if I cock this up, please bear with me. So, can you guys see?
Look at this. This is new.
So yeah, so I've created like a first 11 kind of thing of all the players that we've got at Arsenal that one way or the other a decision needs to be made on it. And I've asked Lev to have a pen and paper handy, so because some of these guys can be sold and they will have value. So I'd like to go through them. Don't worry about the formation like Maitland-Niles here, etc. And then we'll see potentially how much money we can make from players that are going out, and then afterwards we'll discuss incomings afterwards. So if we start with Bernd Leno, so I don't know what you. I've seen things that Fulham apparently are in discussion with Arsenal about a transfer for Bernd Leno, but how much you guys think Bernardo should and would go for, and whether we should sell him or keep him, because there's two questions about each player here. One, should we sell him or keep him? Two, if we selling them, how much we should get? I mean, some of them here like Tavares, or Lokonga, the question of sell probably will not apply. Maybe a loan will be more appropriate. But let's start with Bernd Leno. Lev, you start off.
Do we know how long he's got left on his current contract? Is he
Well, I
on
think
his
about
last year, or he's got a year left? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
See, that immediately puts us in a disadvantage with a year remaining on the contract. Otherwise, I'd probably say someone like Bernd Leno, 20 mil, something like that, in the market for a decent goalie. He's a good goalie. Let's be honest.
But wouldn't you say that it's I don't know. I would say it's Arsenal's fault that we are where we are with players like Bernd Leno. As a club, we should never let anybody get to last year of a contract, because if once that happens, and I don't know if you two agree with me or not, once that happens, then the ball is firmly in the player's court.
Shaheen, do you want to hear my opinion? I don't even think, if we had ambition, I would want Arsenal to have Ramsdale and Leno fighting for that number one spot. I mean, Leno's still a very good goalie. I just don't understand.
Think Bernd Leno will be all right with that?
Well, if you pay him the money and renew his contract and give him a decent contract, decent salary for someone, you could say to him, "You're fighting for that position." Why wouldn't we have two good goalies? Loads of teams have that over the years. All the top teams do have two goalies fighting for a position.
Yeah, I hear that. Dan, what's your thoughts on Bernd Leno?
Well, first of all, I don't really know why we keep making the same mistakes year in, year out. And we're now in another situation where we've lost Lacazette and let him go for nothing. Why did he not go last summer if he wanted to go? Eddie Nketiah, we still don't know what's happening. Why did he not go in January or in the summer? Why have we gone through the last 15 years of this happening every single year and not learning from the mistakes? Surely that comes down to the top, the ownership and the board. You have to look at this, that is happening all the time. And everybody knows my thoughts on Mikel Arteta, but you can't blame Mikel Arteta for this, because this is a situation that has been going on way before Mikel Arteta, who even existed at Arsenal. He's even a player, let alone a manager. So this is a nightmare. For me, my thoughts on Leno, to ask your question, is that he's a great goalkeeper, but he's not a goalkeeper that's going to take us to the next level, because already we've seen that he has some weaknesses to his game in terms of his kicking. I'm not so sure sometimes that crosses his command of his area is his main attribute. And I do think that although he's a good goalkeeper, and I'm with Lev, I think 15 million would be fair enough for Leno. It sounds like we're not going to get even half of that if he's going to Fulham. The rumour I've heard is Fulham for £8 million, which for me is just madness. Absolute madness.
28, I'm not mistaken, no?
We bought him for 28 million, or 26 million, yeah.
Yeah, so that here is a 20 million loss. That's not even considering the wages on it. So,
and Shaheen, this is the thing, Shaheen. Sorry, just quick. We don't run our club like Liverpool do, because Liverpool can go and get 25 million for Jordan Ibe, 25 million for Ryan Brewster, players like that they've sold that just have gone on to do absolute nothing. And we can't even get more than 8 million for Leno, who's a German international goalkeeper at the age of 28, 29, which is young for a goalkeeper.
I'm going to come to this
madness
at the end of this, going through the team, because I think that's one area that people have not spent enough time discussing, our ability to sell players. And just to briefly touch on it as well, I mean, I have to talk about the current guys that are here. There's no point talking about the likes of Raul, Sanelli, and the guys before, because they've gone. If you look at Vinay and Edu, they have not set alight the world of transfers by doing anything spectacular. I mean, to be honest, us three could have done Thomas Partey's transfer, because all it takes is you go in there and say, listen, I'm activating the release clause, and that's it. The deal is done. Apart from that, I mean, Ramsdale, we've got in Odegaard. They're not the type of players that everybody was in for, and then we managed to come in and done a deal and got the player over the line. I mean, we've signed this Marquinhos player, and apparently we could have got him for free, but just to keep the relationship, keep everybody sweet, we'll pay €3 million. which doesn't make sense. Anyway, I'm going to come back to this at the end of.
They can keep a relationship with me if they want. I'll be quite
And I really want to like to know where that 3 million.
Shaheen, someone put a good a slight argument back in the chat with regards to the outgoings. You know, they sold Willock, Oxlade, and Iwobi for combined.
Yeah, but that's 3 in how many?
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the problem. There has been some great ones. You know, those 3 were great. Iwobi, 40 million. I was howling when they offered that. But let's be honest. There's 3 out of about 300. I can tell you that we've lost money on. So 3 doesn't really, you know.
To counter that, I'm going to go back and say if you add up the likes of Aubameyang, Ozil, Lacazette, Mustafi, Socrates, who else?
We were paying them to leave, half of them.
That's 5.
This
5 alone will be above 180 million pounds that we've written off. We've just written off. We've got nothing back for them. That which is just beyond stupid.
We're paying them to leave. It's madness.
So Bernardo, we say what? Realistically, let's have an average figure here for Bernardo. Should we say 8 million?
Yeah, I think if we can get anything near to 10, I think we've done well now, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, for argument's sake, let's say 8 million pounds for Bernardo. I mean, something. I want to have these figures as close to reality as possible. You know, so they may not be high because I don't have confidence in the Arsenal board and setup to go and get like 15, 20 million pounds for Bernd Leno because we're just not that club. So what, 8 million for Leno, we agree?
That's just ridiculous.
I think it is ridiculous, but that's what we're hearing. It's going to be.
As well. But I think that's reality.
No, you're right. It's realistic from what we're hearing. So,
if you don't mind, if you can write down the figures.
Already done it, Shaheen. Already done it.
So next one up is good. Next one up is Tavares. So in case of Tavares, do we loan him or do we keep him? Considering we've been linked with a couple of left backs. Who wants to go first? Dan.
I think we'll loan him, but I feel like we should keep him because I do believe that there's a player that I really like there going forward, but he is not a left back. He is not a left back. There's no way in hell this guy can play at left back. So if we're going to keep him and we go in a back 5, he might be able to go in a left wing back role. He might even be able to go as a left winger role. But there is nothing about him that I like defensively. Position he's out of it. No discipline. Rash decisions. Really poor when it comes to teamwork at the back. And he's one-on-one defending. I don't even know that I've seen it at all this season. So for me, if you're going to be playing him at left back, you might as well sell the guy because there is no chance that he can play there. There's no real massive upgrade on him and Kolasinac for me. And Kolasinac is one of the worst left backs I've seen in a long time. So for me, I would probably keep him in and around the squad for those positions more up top. But I think realistically, it's probably going to be a loan, and I can't see any money coming our way for him.
Left?
Wasn't Santos a left back? He was
awful as well.
He's the worst.
Well, he says a lot that we're talking about Kolasinac, Santos, or Tavares as a left back.
Firstly, I agree with Dan in the sense that I know there's a player in Tavares. He's still only young, right? And I know he was one of them that quite a few people have looked at in the past. He has talent. He is good going forward. He is more of a wing back for sure. If you, as Dan rightly says, if you're not going to play him in the position that he's strong in and he's not defensively sound in the Premier League, then you're probably going to have to look to sell him unless you say to yourself, we loan him out to, I don't know, another Prem side or a Championship team, see how he fares, whether he gets to grips with things defensively over the course of a loan period, and then maybe look at him. Otherwise, you might have to sell him, yeah.
I mean, look, I think it's quite clear that we need a backup left back because I don't think Fiorentini can be relied on to go through a whole season without injury. And in my view, Tavares is not the guy that I would want to come in if Fiorentini is going to be out injured, because whilst I agree with Dan that there is a player in there, I think he needs to go out maybe somewhere and have a full season playing week in, week out, so we get a very good impression of where we are with the guy. And I need somebody to come in instead of Fiorentini, who's a bit more experienced, a bit more know-how of playing the position. You know, he's not going to be making rash decisions. So we all agree that possibly a loan for him. But you would say you keep him, Dan?
I would keep him because I believe there's no point loaning him out if we're not going to, unless we're going to bring somebody else in. That's if we're not going to bring somebody else in, you might as well keep him. So
Yeah, you said keep or loan.
Listen, well, again, it depends on what they do. You know, if they are looking at another left back,
Your opinion.
if they are looking at another left back, then there's no point in having him. If they're not, then he's going to have to stay. But ideally, the best scenario would be, in my opinion, he goes out on loan somewhere, either the Championship or a lesser Prem team. But I can't see us doing that. So,
Okay. So we'll say we'll probably loan him out.
Loan him out. Yeah.
They're not going to sell him. We'll probably loan him out. Next one up is Pablo Mari. We sent him out on loan after having a disaster at the start to this season. I remember Lukaku just had him in his pocket in that game at the Emirates. He's now back in the club, and I think he's got. I don't know. Let me just see how much he's got left in his contract. Actually, I don't know about this one. Whilst I look on that, guys. I mean, I think it's going to be clear what we can do with him. But Lev, you start on this one.
Well, he's another terrible buy. I mean, you've mentioned or another terrible incoming player. I mean, you mentioned a load before that. He was saying that we've written a load of that money off. What he didn't fail to mention is that a lot of those were terrible buys as well. And Mari was one.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt. He's got 2 years left on his contract.
He's got 2 years left on his contract. Listen,
so he's one of those players that could potentially bring some money in.
If they're bringing Saliba back, clearly, so Mari's got to go. So what are you going to say about? You're not going to get more than 8 million for someone like Mari. Not even that, in my opinion.
We bought him for what? 4?
Did we get him for
much more than that?
It was 8, I heard.
No, it's more than that, man. That was about 12 million for Mari.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got him on loan, and then they said we want 12 million, so we gave him 12 million and then never played him. So, yeah, just shocking buy. Shocking buy. Great positioning. That's about as far as it goes. That's all I can say about Pablo Mari. Great positioning. That's it. No pace. I don't look at him and think, wow, no one's getting past him. I don't look at him and go, wow, great cover. I just look at him and think, poor buy. A Man City recheck for a reason and is never going to do anything, in my opinion. There's a lot of rumours about him at Udinese. They quite liked him. And there's a right back called Molina that we like who plays for Udinese. I wonder if there's something that could happen there as a kind of potential swap and some money. But from what
Can I just stop?
Go on, mate.
He loves interrupting people, doesn't he?
Yeah, well,
no, you're fine. Go on, mate.
I think you'll both be surprised as much as I was. Mari initially joined Arsenal for Flamengo for £14 million in July.
Jesus Christ!
So how much of that do you think we're going to recoup now?
Probably about 5, mate.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is what I don't get with this amazing recruitment from Mikel Arteta and Edu. They've got more wrong than right, surely. Like, I don't get this obsession with how great the pair of them have done, and it's exceptional because I do not understand how you can say that Runnison, Willian, Ceballos, Cedric, Pablo Mari, all were fantastic signings. Ben White, the jury's still out. Ramsdale, he was a terrible last few games for me. You've got to look at next season and think if he starts as well as he did, fair play to him. There's only really Tomiyasu, maybe Gabriel, Tomiyasu, and the jury's then still out on whether Thomas Partey can keep fit. Otherwise, the others have all been a bit of disaster. Martin Ødegaard's come in and he's like, for me, has to score more goals. Otherwise, it's not going to work for the lad. Like, none of these have been exceptional signings. I'm sorry, they haven't. I know people like to big them up.
I agree with you, Dan, and we're going to come to this. I'm just conscious. I just want to go through this team first. And then we're going to talk about the shortcomings of the board, etc. So, Pablo Mari, Lev.
5 million, I'll put it down.
5 million. Sadly, I have to agree because he has not played like a £14 million defender.
He's not played, full stop.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't know how he's done on his loan spell. So I don't know if he's done great. I mean, if anybody knows in the comment, guys, let us know how he's done on his loan. But for argument's sake, let's say £5 million for Pablo Mari, and I'm sure you've written that down as well, Lev. Next one then is William Saliba. which at the time when I created this, it was a bit. Nobody knew what's happening, but he's now come out and said he wants to stay at Arsenal. Apparently, Arsenal want him to stay, which I'm pleased about. But you never know with this club what's going to happen. I think, can we all unanimously agree that we'll keep Saliba?
Has to. We have to.
Despite the shit stirring done by Guendouzi. Well, if it is even real, it's come out in the news that he's going to try and convince him to stay. I just think this media trying to stir the Arsenal fan base, to be honest with you.
Maybe. Next one down, Hector Bellerin. So he's now due back.
Get rid, man. Get rid.
Yeah. Where he was. One thing about Hector Bellerin, I may not like him a lot as a player, but I think as a person, he's one thing I'll give him credit for is he's always been quite clear as to what he wants to happen, etc. And he's come out quite early and he says he wants to move on from Arsenal. So we all know that he wants to move on. It's just a matter of, again, Arsenal, how much they're going to get rid of Hector Bellerin. And I'll ask you, Dan, to start with this. I'm just going to check how long he's got left in his contract.
So there's going to be a problem with Hector Bellerin because he's on 100k a week. And there's not many teams that are going to give him 100k a week. So he's going to kick up a fuss. If he has got a year or two left on his contract, we're probably not going to get much more.
So he's got a year left, Dan.
There we go. So we're probably not going to get much more than Leno that we get for Leno, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be similar to that again.
You know what? This apparently won him, Dan. And I think he's going to show flexibility in terms of salary. But Betis are now saying, which is, again, a point that I'm going to come back to after we go through this team. Betis are saying we don't have money to spend. And that's one thing that I think a lot of buying clubs, they know Arsenal are notoriously bad at selling players. So they're going to be like, we don't have money, and hoping that Arsenal will just do what they done to Aubameyang, Ozil, etc. Just write off his contract and say, oh, you go, so they can sign him for free. So they want him. I think I've heard Inter Milan are after him as well. But again, how much they're willing to pay for him.
And it's difficult for me because Bellerin is like this great guy and he's an Arsenal through and through type and he's a gooner. That's all great. That's all fine. But when you come out and say that Alexis Sanchez wants to win too much, I'm then done. Goodbye, mate. Like, if that's the mentality of the club, then if you don't want to be winning everything like he did, then just don't bother. Yeah. I remember I played football, not at a massively high level, but I used to play week in, week out, and I played for about 10, 15 years. And I used to take a lot of throw-ins. I remember taking 3 foul throws in my 15-year career. I see that guy take 4 in one season. How can you take 4 foul throws as a professional footballer in one season? This guy needs to go, man, and I'm sorry, he's going to have to take a pay cut because he's not worth 100k a week. Only we give stupid wages to people like that. So I think we're going to have to try and cut our losses somehow, and if we have to take between 5 and 8 million just to get him gone, I think we're going to have to again. This is just poor business yet again.
Lev?
You know how I feel about Bellerin. He hasn't been good for about 4 or 5 years.
Arsenal can get for him. That's the whole point of going through this.
Do you know what? I don't even think we'll get for, what, 5 mil? What are you going to get for him?
I'm going to agree because to save time on this and move to the next player. So if you put down 5 million for Hector Bellerin,
right.
To be honest with you, if I wanted to disagree as well, I don't think it would be anything more than 8 million for him. Next one up is we'll go to midfield. Sambi Lokonga.
I think he'll stay. Yeah. I think he'll stay. I don't think that we'll get rid of him.
I don't think we'll sell him, but maybe a loan for him to go out and.
Well, the thing is, Shaheen, we need 2 centre midfielders as it is, and with the futures of, first team wise, El Neni and Granit Xhaka, we've had El Neni and Granit Xhaka on midfield for 6 years, and we've not kicked a Champions League football. So I don't want them 2 in our midfield. Yeah, so when you look at Thomas Partey.
Dan, I agree with you, right? But as we speak, we've got El Neni, who has just signed the contract. Doesn't look like Granit Xhaka is going to be sold. Thomas Partey, Sambi Lokonga. So that's 4 central midfielders. I'm not even counting Odegaard at all, right? So that's 4. And we all know we need at least 1 or 2 midfielders. So if we get 1 or 2, even 1 midfielder to come in, where would that leave Sambi Lokonga in terms of playing time?
Well, I don't think personally that we can be looking to care about how players feel anymore about their game time, because we're supposed to now be trying to go for the top. So if we're going to be in 4 competitions next season, which is going to be all of the cups and the league, which of course we're not going to win, but want to try and finish high up in, and the Europa League, we're going to need squad depth. So I don't care that people might not be kicking a ball for 5 or 6 minutes every other game, but actually what we do need is some strength and depth. So that's fine getting rid of Lokonga and going on loan, but that leaves you back with El Neni again and back with Granit Xhaka again, which is what I don't want to see. So if we can bring in the likes of Tielemans and Bissouma, or Tielemans and Neves, or whatever it be, then that's fine. You can let Lokonga go out on loan if you believe it. But I come back to it again, Shaheen, and it's what you said. What the hell did we get this guy to replace Guendouzi for if he was nowhere near ready? Why did we buy the guy? Why?
Exactly,
if we're going to have to then loan him out next season, what the hell was the point of buying him? He might have bought him and just said, just stay where you are in Anderlecht. You're the captain, you're the 21-year-old leader that everyone's talking about. Learn your trade, carry on there. We don't need you next season because you're going to come to Arsenal, do nothing, and then just be loaned out. It's a madness signing. Makes no sense.
I could not agree with you more, Dan. And again, for me, towards the end of the run of, the last fixtures, if you like, for our end of season, I think I would have much preferred Guendouzi coming in and in that midfield rather than El Neni, because to be honest with you, even prior to that, when he was at Arsenal, I could never fault him for effort or passion or putting a tackle in, and I think he could have done a job for us, And as I said this beginning of the show as well, we sold Guendouzi to Marseille, who's an established international player, for 11 million euros, which is 10 million pounds, and we bought Samuel Lokonga for 20 million pounds, which again,
Madness.
Just that on its own should put things into perspective. Lev, would you keep him as well?
Look, I think we're being a bit harsh on Lokonga a little bit because he came with a huge reputation. He was sought after player. He does have I think he has quite a big future. I think the Premiership has taken him a little bit by surprise. It's very, very physical, and he's used to being quite dominant. When I watched him for Anderlecht, but he struggled physically. So I think he needs some time. And don't forget, when we did get rid of Guendouzi, he wasn't established at Marseille. We had him at we bought him. Was it Saint Etienne we got him from? I can't remember where we got him from. One of those teams.
Guendouzi?
Yeah, where did we get him from?
From Lorient, FC Lorient.
Yeah, we got him from Lorient, right? So at the end of the day, he wasn't established, but we knew as well with him that there was a player in there. So, Lokonga now, he's not going anywhere. So there's no point even thinking about it. He might go on loan, but we need Bissouma and we need a Tielemans, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, if we buy a couple of midfielders, I'll send him out on loan.
Get those two, put him out on loan. That's what I would do. I'd get two, one cover for Partey, which is Bissouma. You get Tielemans in a box-to-box. If you want to play Partey and Bissouma away, perfect. If you want someone a bit more dynamic, you play Partey and Tielemans or vice versa, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So next one up is Lucas Torreira.
He's going to go back to Italy, man. He's going to go back to Italy somewhere. Don't know where, but he's going to come back.
He's got a year left as well.
Do you know both these players that you mentioned, Shaheen? Sorry, guys. Both these players, Guendouzi and Torreira, you could argue that, El Neni, is he better than those two? No. Do you know what I mean? Maitland-Niles, we kept him and then for some reason let him go. So why did we weaken in the midfield areas? We didn't even give Torreira a proper chance, in my opinion. But anyway.
Nice.
Remember, he wasn't bad when he came to Arsenal.
When he first started, he looked like a player.
I always liked him.
Yeah.
2027, I think Lucas Torreira signed a 5-year contract with Arsenal in 2022. But he hasn't. No, he hasn't, has he? No, sorry. My bad. I think he's got about a year left on his contract.
I think we'll be lucky to get 10 million for him, if I'm honest.
Mate,
it's the 8th number again.
But
exactly.
You see, when he came to Arsenal and we were playing him in his proper position, he wasn't bad.
I liked him.
Bad at all.
Unfortunately, though, mate,
I'll go back to the recent run of games we had towards the end of last season. Partey got injured. I'm sure Torreira could have.
He would have done a job, 100%, mate. And the problem was he was one of our best players at one stage under Unai Emery, and because he scored a goal against Tottenham and put in a man of the match performance in the North London derby at the Emirates, he decided to try and play him as a number 10 and thought he was an ex-Hazard, and that destroyed him because he's not that player. He's the little menace, the little ball terrier that you want in your midfield. He's just in that anchor. And that would have done us a job this season. Like, listen, he's not going to take us to the next level. He's not got the physical attributes that I like, but actually would have done a better job than what we've seen this season. And we were so weak in that midfield. So, yeah, but we'll get rid of him. And like I say, it'll be 8 to 10 million if we're lucky.
So let's say 8 million for Torreira. I'm just going with the low figures. So it gives the board a bit of room to play with, and if anything on top of that is bonus.
Yep.
Lev, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
All right. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And you know what? I've said this so many times on shows with Ainsley, and I'm sure Lev will back me up on this. I remember Wolves came in with £22 million, right? And apparently, Mikel Arteta convinced Ainsley Maitland-Niles to stay at Arsenal because he could see him and whatever role and all the rubbish that came with it, right? Since that happened, I think he's played 5 games for Arsenal and then they sent him out on loan.
Shaheen, can I add to that as well?
Why not accept the money?
Can I add to that as well? All right, forget the fact that all right, so then that's one thing. We didn't sell him when we had the chance, and then we kept him. Let me ask you two this question, yeah? We let him go, was it in January we let him go to Roma, I think it was, right? Yeah. Who would you rather have had come on as a right back to as cover for the injured Tomiyasu? Would you have rather Cedric or would you have rather Maitland-Niles? Because I know who I would have preferred.
It's not just that, Lev. What makes me laugh at the whole of this is both of what you've said is absolutely spot on. We did it with Kieran Gibbs years ago, West Brom. They offered money. We said, no, we'll keep him. And they offered it again. Well, go on then. You can have him for half the price. They offered us 15 and we said no. And then we sold him for 7. We're basically going to do the same in Maitland-Niles. 15 to 20 million is the rumour, like Sheen said, that Wolves come in with. We said no. We begged him to stay. Why? He didn't play. Then we loaned him out in a period of time where we needed him to play in either the 2 positions that we were struggling in, Tomiyasu's injury at right back or in the midfield. And we decided to play Charlie Patino in midfield against Forest and allow him to go out on loan. Why? Yeah. If you want to leave Arsenal, that's fine. But you say, as a manager, listen, boys, I know you want to go, and trust me, you can in the summer. But we need you right now because we're depleted. So you stick with us, and I'll let you go wherever you want to in the summer. And we haven't done that now. There's a rumour about Nottingham Forest coming in for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. If that actually happens, then fair play. But,
see, that the issue here is how much can Arsenal get for him now?
Well, I don't think we're going to be looking at... Do you know what, Sheen? It wouldn't even surprise me if we go with a loan with an option to buy for Forest, if that's what it is. It wouldn't even surprise me. It really wouldn't.
I can't imagine Forest dropping £10 million on him.
Apparently, he had a disaster at Roma as well. He had a disaster at Roma. They said he was awful over there. I don't know the truth. I don't watch Serie A. But, I mean, we're going to be... He's an English international. At one stage, he was getting into the squad and Gareth Southgate was picking him at full-back because he was a versatile player. So, for me, if you took that into account, his age and his nationality, you should be looking as close to 15 to 20 mil as you can. But I just don't see that happening because of the lack of game time he's played over the last couple of years. So, we'll probably be looking at 10 million again, I guess.
Again, I'll be chuffed if we get 10 million for him. I'll be very honest with you, man. Sadly, I think your first option is probably the most likely one that somebody will take him out on loan with an option to buy. What do you think, Lev?
Well, I mean, firstly, it's just crazy. It's another one of these guys we're talking about that actually would have been better to have in the squad rather than weaken ourselves as we did. And as Dan rightly said, Maitland-Niles covered 2 areas. So he could have covered for Tomiyasu, he could have covered us for us in midfield. And again, we weakened ourselves in January. But yeah, I don't think... I'll be surprised if we get anything above 10 mil for Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Should we all agree on £8 million?
Yeah.
Is that again 8?
Scenario. Because, I mean, we're talking about a loan, but for argument's sake, should we say agree on 8?
I mean, I
think that's way too low for someone his age. I think we should be looking around 10, 15.
I said 10. I said 10, but,
He's got a year left on his contract as well.
All right, Shaheen, we'll go 8 then, just to make... There you go. It's done.
All right. Right, this one is going to be interesting. Nicolas Pepe.
Another one that we've overspent on.
I think we all agree that
overspent.
He's struggled with the manager and what he wants off of him, right? So, and I think he will be sold. Now,
Yeah.
how much? Again, because he's got, I think, 2 years left in his contract, and he's on a decent salary. So who's going to come in? I mean, look, I think we all agree nobody's going to come and pay anything near what we paid for him. I would bite someone's hand off for like 20-25 million pounds.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. And I think if we would have signed him for £20 million, everybody would have got off his back. But because he was 75 or 72, everyone said how crap he was. Now, I look at Pepe, and I've said this a lot. I think Mikel Arteta has been incredibly harsh to the lad. Incredibly harsh. Playing people like Lacazette, stinking the house out for 9 weeks in a row, plays every game. Bringing on Eddie Nketiah all the time ahead of him. Allowing people to come out in public and say that he was a disgrace for getting sent off at Leeds. But Granit Xhaka, he was fine. He was just a little bit passionate. Arteta clearly does not like this guy, so just get rid of him. 20 to 25 million tops, mate. 20 million probably, I would suggest. Don't know where, but...
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But I'll tell you what as well, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes somewhere else and does well.
He will do well.
Yeah.
He will do well.
He'll score goals. He'll score goals.
Yeah, well, listen, this season, every time he's come on, he's looked poor, very bad, right? But when he plays for his national team, he does really well, which tells me he probably doesn't want to be here in the current setup anyway. So
you get momentum as a wide player. I mean, I was a wide player myself. You need to play consistently, right? And even when he did play well, what was the game he scored? Was it a hat trick? He scored a hat trick. He dropped him the next day, or like the next game. He never gave him a consistent run, and I never found a way to work around his skill set. He just basically said to Pepe, "This is the way I want you to play." And it didn't fit him, so he just left it. Whereas what he should have tried to do, perhaps, is figure out a way of bringing the best out of Pepe. And I think he needed earlier balls in behind. He was making runs in behind, never got it. Gets the ball with two players on him. It just didn't suit him to be in Arteta's team.
You happy with 20 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's write that down and move on to Reece Nelson. I watched him against Roma in that conference final, and it was okay, he was not, this guy has improved so much kind of thing.
I never see the player the reputation comes with. I keep hearing about Reece Nelson over the years. I've always heard about Reece Nelson, and he's going to be a big player, and he's really, really talented. But it's never quite translated on field for me every time I've watched him. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I
would
don't
you
get it.
loan him or you sell him?
I'd sell him.
There will be clubs in either Germany or Holland that would potentially come and pay something between maybe 8 to 10 million for him.
I think we'll loan him again. I don't think we'll get any money for him. Arteta, do you remember when he first come in, Arteta tried to play this guy and give him a chance. He was playing every game on the right-hand side against teams like Chelsea, United, and he was like coaching him. You could see he was really trying to do a Raheem Sterling with him, and just I think he even realised this guy isn't good enough and he needs to go out on loan. And I don't think he's done amazing. He did really well at Hoffenheim where he scored 5 or 6 goals in a row. They then decided to drop him because they didn't like his all-round game. And Feyenoord, I don't think he was outstanding from what I hear. So I think it's time to get rid of him, but I think we'll loan him again. So I don't think we'll get any money.
Okay, I'll go with Dan on this one as well. So should we do loan on this one, Lev?
I personally would want to sell him, but yeah, I agree. That's what they'll end up doing, and he's not going to be worth anything next year if they put him out on loan again.
Okay, and then we go here, and I've put Balogun here because he was out on loan to Middlesbrough, and I remember there was a big hoo-ha around this guy, and when he came on against Brentford, when he started the game against Brentford, first game of the season, I straight away said he's short a lot for Premier League, and I couldn't understand the hoo-ha around him. He hasn't done great at Middlesbrough either, from what I understand. So, and I forgot. I mean, not that I forgot. I didn't put Eddie Nketiah in there because I think we all know what's happening with Eddie Nketiah. But Balogun, I think it'll be another loan. Would you agree?
Agree.
Yeah, I think he needs men's football. He needs to be going. I'd like to see him in a Premier League side, but if that means he's not going to play, I'd rather see him start in the Championship and bulk up a little bit like Emile Smith-Rowe did at Huddersfield. So maybe he could go to a team like that and do well. From what I hear from I spoke to a Forest and a Fulham fan on my channel the other day. We talked about Balogun and they just said, "Nah, he is not ready. Like he is just not ready."
Yeah.
So I think loan, mate, loan.
Yeah, I agree with you. So that is a whole, as you guys can see, a full starting 11 that Arsenal can either loan, sell, or keep, and we've gone through that. And I'm just gonna So Lev, if we add up everything that we can get up for these players, how much would it come up to?
I'm doing it now.
About 40 million.
35. It's about 35 mil.
Jesus.
35. So you see, that's another thing, right? And which brings me nicely to this. We paid £28 million, right, for Bernd Leno alone, right? And now we've got a whole starting lineup, and I'm not talking about Lucas Torreira because we paid, I think, about £24 million for Lucas Torreira as well. And now, out of all of that, at best, we can get £35 million, which again shows how bad we are in selling players. And this is a real area of concern because we're talking about incomings and, I remember fans and everybody going crazy about Darwin Núñez and this and that. But we're seeing now in market that these things are not going to happen. He's comfortably chosen to go to Liverpool. I saw a post from Fabrizio Romano earlier that he's gone to Liverpool. Basically, it's finished. It's done deal. And we've been linked with, again, as usual, to all sort of names that are available. But, the question is, how much money do we actually have? How much money Kroenkes needs to put in, or how much money do we have? And then the sale of players always helps because you can sell a player, it gives you money, you freeze up funds, and then you can go buy somebody. And in this case, £35 million is a joke. That will probably, you can sell all of those players, and that will probably get you one Yves Bissouma at best.
I'd still do it.
No, yeah, I'll do it as well. But, again, I said this earlier, and I said, sometimes you got to ask questions of what it is that Edu has actually done since the time he's been here. You're talking about the last transfer. Everybody say, oh, they've done really well. They've made great signings and this and that. Yeah, but, I remember Ramsdale, we were linked with him probably throughout the summer. At some point, we pulled out a deal. And we ended up paying the money that we paid for him, £50 million for Ben White. That deal was not, shrewdly negotiated. It was not Brighton were asking for like 100 million or 50 or, sorry, not 50, 60 or 70, and then we negotiated down to 50. It's a very comfortable figure for Brighton. And these are the guys who have to manage probably our most important transfer window in the past 2-3 years because the squad is thin. We need numbers. We need a lot of quality players, and I just don't see them doing it. Guys, tell me your thoughts. Talk to me. Dan.
This is what we talked about at the top of the show, mate, was look how much the recruitment has been poor for years and years and years. And this is why I don't trust the process, mate, because I don't care if it's Mikel Arteta, Patrick Vieira, you can name whatever manager you want. If this is what we have to work with and this is the model that we're trying to win football matches in and titles in, it ain't going to work. Because I can tell you what will happen because it happened with Fabregas and Van Persie. I can tell you what's going to happen because it happened with Wilshere and Ramsey. Young kids do not work. They look great. It's great stuff to have them. You need some experience and some winners and the mentality of we win trophies around it. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Because in 3 years' time, Saka will fancy Newcastle. In 3 years' time, Martinelli will say, do you know what, Jurgen? I'll come over to you if you like me that much. Emile Smith-Rowe will say, well, this manager doesn't seem to want to put me in the first team. I'll go over to see where I can get it over at Chelsea or somewhere like that. Because that's what Fabregas did. That's what Van Persie did. And everyone remembers screaming, going, they won't leave. They love it here. Yeah, they did love it there. And then they realised they weren't going to win anything. So that's what will happen, mate.
I 100% agree with you, and I don't think what you talked about is 3 years away. I think it's next year. It's next year. Arsenal qualify for Champions League. Right? The likes of Martinelli and Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe would look at this and be thinking, where is this club going? Where am I going with this club? If even Mikel Arteta is still the manager and we don't finish in a position that we should, which I don't think we will, Man City comes in for someone like Saka. Like, surely he will think I don't think he will think about it now. Next season he will. And you know what? Another issue we've got with these youngsters is this, right? If they tie up Eddie Nketiah on £100,000 a week, right, they're going to have a problem because Saka is on £35,000 a week. Imagine Saka, player of the season.
What has Eddie Nketiah done to
now,
£100,000?
Now, listen, comes time, Arsenal got to be thinking, right, listen, let's give Saka a new contract, tie him down. How much do you think he's going to ask for salary? If Eddie Nketiah is on 100 grand a week, he could easily demand £200,000 a week. 2 years on a row, player of the season, plays week in, week out. Same with Martinelli. How much they should demand as a salary?
I agree. I totally agree. And I honestly believe this is why a lot of people were getting very excited about young players. But again, it's no good unless you've got experience around it. Our most decorated player is Kieran Tierney. And that's because he was at Celtic. So when you look around, who has actually won anything in this side? When Fabregas and Van Persie were young, they were surrounded by winners, mate. Leaders like Vieira and Bergkamp and Henry and Pires and Campbell and Cole. And then when Wilshere and Ramsey come through, they had that mentality that Van Persie and Fabregas learnt off because Van Persie and Fabregas were no longer kids. They were the ones teaching the Wilsheres and Ramseys the ropes. Who have these kids got to learn off of now? Granit Xhaka.
Do you know what?
It's a madness.
A perfect example to back up what you just said is Tottenham away, Newcastle away. Where were the leaders to come in and say, guys, these are two important games. Things are not going well for us. Let's stick together. Let's do this. The team that you just mentioned, Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira, Martin Keown, Jens Lehmann, they would all say, listen, guys, make sure we don't concede a goal, keep it together. Rob Holding, don't do anything stupid. Make sure we 11. Newcastle away. Things are not going to plan. Guys, let's dig deep here, this and that. Right, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at our captain in these 2 days, Martin Odegaard, who, again, people say I've got an agenda, this and that. I'm actually very, very surprised that he's come on second on player of the season. And Gabriel is not even in the nominees.
Shaheen, the problem we have now is because they left it to the youngsters throughout the entire season. They let it all fall on the kids' shoulders. And in January, when they had the chance to add a bit of experience that would have taken them over the line, if we had got Bruno in January, probably would have made top four. But the quality of player that they're going to be able to go for now has lessened. And the likes of Spurs, who we should have trumped by now, are now getting first dibs on everyone. If they want a player that we want, they're going to get them. And why? Because we left the door open in January. So, this is our own doing.
You say this, right? But I'm going to put my Arsenal fan hat aside. Yeah, if I'm a professional player and I have to choose between Arsenal and Tottenham, and it pains me to say this, I'll go to Tottenham. Why? Better manager, better stadium, Champions League football, better players, arguably. Harry Kane, Son, Lloris. One or two good signings, and Tottenham, it's going to be a problem for Arsenal.
I agree with Lev. I agree with Shaheen. I think when you look at what Conte is going to do at Tottenham in terms of him being backed, if he is being backed in the summer by Levy, which, let's be honest, Levy has no other choice than to back him because this has to work because he's tried everything else. And Conte won't stay there long. Conte probably won't even sign a contract after this 1 year that he's got left. That's why he's signing people like Perisic, because he ain't going to be around in 5 years' time. He's a now player. I want to win now, and he's a winner, right? They're talking about Eriksen coming back. Romero's coming back and leaps and bounds into this side. Kane, Son and Kulusevski, that's his front three. Bentancur's come in and been brilliant for them. I look at them a couple of fullbacks away and maybe another centre half, and my God, they could be a problem. I've tipped them for third already this coming season. They'll come third. They'll be the best of the rest after Liverpool City.
I'm not gonna disagree with that, man. It's going to be a problem for Arsenal.
Elite manager, mate. Elite manager.
You know what? From where we were to where we are, it's worrying. It's poor. It's not good enough, man.
Shane, we're not ruthless enough. We're not ruthless enough. We're not ruthless enough in the transfer window, right? We're not ruthless when we get an opportunity. Some people were telling me, oh, we sort of overachieved and all of that. What do you mean overachieved? If you've got games in hand, you're in position to take this, you grab it. You don't go, oh, we've overachieved, so we're not going to add in the January window, stick to our plan. You grab it when you can, because as you rightly said, the likes of Newcastle and all them lot are going to strengthen next season as well. Spurs are going to be stronger. It's going to be more difficult for us. It's only ourselves to blame.
I don't think they'll finish in top 4, right? But if they manage to finish with some sort of European football, they will start spending money.
We're going to spend money now.
And again, it's going to be because then they've got European football to offer to players. I'm not saying they're going to start getting the top players in, but they will get some sort of decent players to come in. And let's talk about now what's ahead of us, right? So we discussed about the outgoings, and it's not a great picture. Okay, we need 4 or 5 top players to come in with a recruitment team that have not really shown any signs of being wall beaters. How do you see the transfer window unfolding, Dan?
Listen, the people that we're linked with aren't going to take us to the next level, in my opinion. Is Gabriel Jesus going to get us 15 to 20 goals a season? Well, he didn't do that for Man City for 5 years running. So, no. He scored as many, I think, maybe one more than Lacazette this season. So, as much as I like his work rate, I like the fact he can play a few positions, and I like his mentality, I actually don't believe he's going to take us to that next level and be much of an upgrade. So we need another striker. If that other striker is going to be Scamacca, that's a huge risk. I don't dislike it because he's doing well over in Serie A, but he needs to come over and do well in the Premier League. So again, that's going to be a risk. I like all the attributes. I like what he's got as a profile of a striker. He's 6'5". He's good in the air, target man as well. Knows where the goal is. But for me, I'd rather go and get Tammy Abraham. But if that's going to be too much money, then Scamacca looks like it could be the realistic option. Tielemans, that's the only one that would half excite me, because I think he's got a lot that he can bring into that midfield. His defensive game is actually a lot better than people give him credit for. He's a box-to-box player, and he can do well in link-up play as well. And he's Premier League proven. But some of the other guys that we're linked with, like Marquinhos, another kid, Aaron Hickey, another kid, I'm not so sure that we're going to be taking this team to the next level with those signings, in my opinion.
What's your thoughts on Bissouma?
So Bissouma, I don't think will happen, because as much as he's a gooner from what I hear and would be a fantastic signing and one that I would take tomorrow, I don't think Arteta likes his mentality. I don't think that's the sort of player that he likes, because of all this stuff that's going on outside of football that he's getting in trouble with. That's not the sort of player that I think Arteta could grab hold of and say, look, mate, we've seen what Arteta does. When the going gets tough, out the door you go. And that'll be what happens with Bissouma.
What worries me about that, Dan, is that I think next season is going to be a huge season for Mikel Arteta, and it could be one that he would possibly end up losing his job, right? And if that does happen, and we're missing out on players like Bissouma and a couple of other ones, and they move on to other clubs, and when you get a decent manager to come in, these ones are already gone. We missed out. Why? Because Mikel Arteta, the fans. Listen,
Bissouma's actually been linked with teams like Newcastle and Villa, because they've got a lot of money to spend. Bissouma's been linked with both of them. He might go to Newcastle and think, you know what, I'll go and sit next to Bruno Guimaraes and play with him and see what Newcastle do in the next few years. I don't know. But, I would take him tomorrow. I think he's perfect for what we need. But I just can't see it.
Yeah. Lev.
Yeah.
Why is it that likes of Aston Villa, right, and one or two other teams can go out there and early doors get good players in, right? Get it over the line. Make sure you give the manager something to work with, and everybody knows the direction you're going, right? But we can't do that. We're still.
Well, listen.
Right? What we doing, Lev? What? I don't follow this because you do.
Look. Firstly, what I would say is this: if you're Aston Villa or a lesser team, you've got extreme competition from the teams that have got more pull. Listen, whatever people want to banter us about and that about Arsenal not being a big club right now and all of that, or let's be honest, if Arsenal come calling and Villa come calling, if you've got any ambition, you're going to go to Arsenal. So then what does likes of Villa do? Whilst clubs like Arsenal dither, they're going to go and strike, and they're going to strike hard to get the players that they need. So if they know that Basuma is available, right, and they know that it would improve Arsenal's team, while Arsenal's dithering, why would they wait? You go, you make a firm offer, you try and get it over the line quick and done. Whereas, let me ask you this question. When was the last time you've ever seen Arsenal go into a pre-season and then a season start 100% ready? When have we ever seen that? We've always got to
change the culture.
No. We've always got players. Our first team players are never ready at the start of the season. We tend to go in with our backup players for 2 or 3 games and throw points away, squander points. We do it every season. We do it in the transfer window as well. We dither, we don't do it, and then we go scarpering around lastminute.com. So I don't know why we're like this, but this is nothing new. It's like we're on repeat as Arsenal fans. People might say it's negative, but let's be honest. Every season, for as far back as I can remember, we've always been 2 or 3 players away from being a good side. 2 or 3 players away, and we never addressed those areas. How long did it take for us to address the Vieira situation?
We're still having it.
We never addressed it, right? And the Partey was the first type of player that we've looked at and gone, oh my God, he's Vieira-esque, and he's been injury prone. So I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we div up. We as laymen can see what we need. I don't care. Basuma would definitely improve our midfield. Tielemans would definitely improve our midfield. We need a striker. We do need to sort out cover for fullbacks. And, I'm not averse to someone like Jesus as long as there is one other. I don't want number 2 to be Eddie Nketiah. That's ridiculous. Imagine if our main striker gets injured or, Jesus gets injured. Oh, Eddie Nketiah's coming on. Have a word with yourselves. At 100K a week.
Yeah, but Dan, what can you imagine has been going on since the end of season at Arsenal about getting players in? Because I have not seen us being linked with any world-class players. Let's be honest.
That's my worry, mate.
With any of those, right? We seem to be linked with Jesus, Richarlison.
No, he's getting Spurs.
Kamaka. I've heard Basuma here and then, but he's not even a world-class player.
Rafeinha's been mentioned.
Rafeinha. None of these names, except Basuma, from my point of view, right? I'll be thinking, right, I'm going to look forward to seeing him in Arsenal shirt next season.
No, I like Rafeinha. I'm not going to lie.
I said Basuma, hold on, and I said Basuma because he's going to be able to improve that midfield, and I think him and Thomas Partey next to each other will be something really good. Rafeinha comes in. Who's getting dropped, Lev? Saka straight away. That's his position, right wing. Are you going to drop Saka for Rafeinha? I know there's going to be 4 games, etc.
Yeah, but you want competition.
Would be content to.
Listen, we can't sit there and complain we don't have strength in depth and on competition for places, and then sit there and go, "Oh, we're not going to buy him in case it annoys somebody else." Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Come on. As good as Saka is, he's a young kid as well. And look, you've seen he can be inconsistent as a young kid, and he's still going to have to learn when teams double up on him and things like that. He's still learning his trade, and just to put it all on his shoulders makes no sense. And if he has a lull, you've got someone like Rafeinha who's more direct. He could play. I like him.
If you sign, let's take Rafeinha for argument's sake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Rafeinha a type of player that will enable us to challenge for top 4?
Not just on him on his own. You need a balanced squad. You can't just say, "Oh, we've got Rafeinha, he's going to take us top 4." If you say to me, "Oh, we've got Rafeinha at wide, and then you got Basuma behind him with Tielemans behind him," suddenly you're talking about a different outlook.
Well, I'm talking about the right wing position now. I mean, okay, let me rephrase my question, right? Is Rafeinha that much better than Saka?
I think they're two different types of players.
How? Same position.
Look at Rafeinha. He's a taller, stronger guy. He's direct dribbling. I know Saka dribbles too, but like you also got the option of playing Saka on the other side too. You know,
And so who? Martinelli.
Yeah, well, look, you're not going to play Martinelli every game. He wasn't playing Martinelli every game this season, and we didn't have anyone as good as Rafeinha to take Martinelli's place.
And where would that, if that happens? Sorry, I'm not. I don't mean to question you or anything. I'm just worried. So what's going to happen to Emil Smith Rowe?
I still think Emil Smith play a 10.
Basuma even. Where would that leave ESR?
Again,
I don't think we can worry about this though.
No.
And the reason I say that is because as much as I love Saka, Smith Rowe and Martinelli, them playing every game is not what we needed. And I feel like we do need strength in depth. And I know that Pepe isn't the guy that he wants to see. If we get in Rafeinha, I'd love for Rafeinha to be fighting with the Sakas and Martinellis for that space.
Yeah.
I'd love for Bissouma to be coming in and say, do you know what, Thomas Partey's decent, but when she get injured, I'm here. That's what Man City and Liverpool do so well. Liverpool over the last couple of years has probably been the reason why they've not quite got over the line. And that's why, for me, this season they even had the words Liverpool and quadruple mentioned in the same bracket because their strength in depth was class. Because in every single position now, they can put somebody in if someone's injured, whether it's Diaz, whether it's Firmino still, whether it's Jota, whether it's Tsimikas, whether it's Oxlade-Chamberlain who can't even get a kick now. You don't see Oxlade-Chamberlain, Origi and Minamino coming on anymore. Why? Because people were brought in that are better than them. And that's what we need to try and do now is look at who actually is there in this side right now that is irreplaceable, that is everyone's fit, you will not see him gone. There's only a couple. There's only Saka, maybe Thomas Partey and maybe Kieran Tierney. And we see what happens when two of those get injured. We crumble. So we need strength in depth, man. And like you say, Shaheen, why can't we get world-class players? Well, that's nothing to do with this season. That's been for the last few seasons and this process. Because we've got a manager who no one wants to come and play under because he's not proven, he's not elite. You go and play under Conte, Tuchel, Ten Hag even now. Definitely go and play under Pep and Klopp over him. And that's not even mentioning the likes of the other clubs that are in and around us. So when you look at that, that's one reason. The other reason is what can we actually bring you? What does somebody like, let's say, pick any world-class player that you think Arsenal should be trying to attract. What have they got to come and play for? I'll come and play with Saka and Smith Rowe. I'll come and play under Mikel Arteta because he's learning still. I love the Arsenal board because they're all young and novices. I love the ownership because they spend loads of money. They don't care where it's spent on. I love the fan base because they're happy all the time, whether we come 5th, 8th, or whether we come 15th. Like what actually is there with Arsenal that you go, wow. Apart from reputationally, the history of the club is exceptional. What actually is there?
We've used up that credit, though, haven't we, Dan? That legacy credit, we've used
going.
it up. This is what I was always saying from before, is the players that were coming to us were players like who had grown up in Africa, France, wherever they'd seen the likes of Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Robert Pires. They saw these players and growing up as kids, it was ingrained in their minds. But that legacy is fading because new generations are coming through and kids are growing up watching Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, and they're thinking of those teams growing up. And in the next 10 years, the top players are going to want to go to those types of teams. So we brought this on ourselves.
Yeah, we talked about our forward players and if people coming in, who's going to be dropped and who's going to get affected. We've got a similar sort of situation at centre back this season as well. Saliba is coming in, and then you've got Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel who will be pushing for a starting spot, which is good. But who do you see being dropped out of those three?
I'll start if you want, Shaheen. I've predicted from way back, and I hope I don't end up eating my words. But at some point, when Saliba does get a fair crack of the whip, he's going to take one of those positions, and he's going to be the starting centre back. He's going to be the main centre back, and I think he'll probably end up taking Ben White's position.
Ben White.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, I agree with you, Dan.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Ben White Ben White is the jury's still out for me. I look at one game, one bad game, one game good game, one bad game, and I'm not convinced that he is the Tony Adams that Arsenal fans like to think he's going to be. I see some bad decision making, I see some bad defensive errors, and I'm still not quite sure that he's the answer. But William Saliba, likewise, risky, but if he comes in and does what he's been doing in France, then my God, we've got a hell of a talent on our hands. And I don't see Gabriel being dropped. I think he's been one of our best players this season. I really like him a lot. So, yeah, I think Ben White will be the one who misses out.
You have got the option of a free as well when he needs it, as well, which is good.
Yeah, it does. And I agree. I think, listen, for me, I've always said this. The day that Ben White came out and said he doesn't know who Patrick Vieira is, that was end of Ben White for me.
Man, you haven't let that go, have you? You've mentioned that every show.
Well, for me, Patrick Vieira is one of the greatest players who put an Arsenal shirt.
No, I agree.
And say you don't know who this guy is.
Anyway, look, I want competition. I want competition. It's about time we've got competition. I want people who are arrogant enough to say, "I'm going to take your place." That's what you want. You want other players to worry about their own positions.
And you know what? It's healthy, and we're not being linked to any centre backs right now. And you guys happy with Rob Holding being the fourth one?
Fourth, I don't mind, but I still don't rate him. I don't rate him. He costs us goals. Every time he plays, he is always a weak link.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind him being back up, but I don't want to see him in the team, really.
Right, back up.
Yeah, and this is the thing we said earlier about the experienced heads that are needed. The experienced heads we have got aren't good enough. Cedric has cost us. He's experienced. He's touching 30. Rob Holding's 27 now. He's not a kid. He's never been good enough. Granit Xhaka, Bruce Lee style kick still, getting red cards. He's not good enough. El Neni, he's come in and done a good job, but he's not going to take us to the next level. Yeah, so these players that have come in that are experienced heads like the Pepes and Lacazettes, you can add to that, haven't been cutting the mustard. So for me, it has to be now getting the right players in with the right mentality that already have experience. It don't have to be that they're 32. Tielemans, he's experienced enough. He's been at Leicester, he's Premier League proven, he's a good player. He's a Belgium international. That's a good signing. Bissouma, likewise, is at the right age where you think, do you know what, you've learnt your trade, you know what you're doing now. You don't have to learn your trade at Real Madrid. You don't have to come from Atletico Madrid or Man City or PSG. I don't care where you come from. Liverpool have proven that you can go and buy players from Hull, Hoffenheim, Roma, Leipzig. It doesn't matter where they play. It's about the right profile and the right mentality to come in and play the philosophy that you want. And if Mikel Arteta has got this style of play, which is genius, that everyone keeps going on about, then he must know what he wants now. So the philosophy is there. From what he can see, we definitely do need the right positions. We keep being linked with the right positions we need. Like you said, Lev, we both need covers at both full-back areas. We need two centre midfielders. We need a winger to replace Pepe, and we need two centre forwards. And if we get those 6-7 players in, I'll be happy. What I don't want is for us to have, like you say, Jesus as our striker and backup is Eddie Nketiah. I don't want to have Tielemans in and then once he's injured, Granit Xhaka just comes straight back in. So what happens is you have a couple of players that get injured and you're back to the same side that couldn't get top 4 last season. So we need to serious surgery in certain positions of this field, man.
Lev, do you mind reading these super chats?
Well, before, like, there's some Spurs fans in here chatting about Richarlison. Do you know what I will say this year? I don't see what all the fuss about Richarlison is. I'll say it. I don't care. I'm going to say that. So you can have him. Wayne Sage, 499. Thank you for your support, bro. Always here. Are we going to do this again this transfer window? Compare the transfer window to Aston Villa. Buendia. Okay. True Gunners TV. Is that Brandon?
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Where you been? This is typical Arsenal, never proactive, always reactive. We should have had a couple of these deals done by now, considering we were told in January we have a plan.
Facts.
We're clueless every transfer window.
Facts.
Listen, it's the same. We're on repeat. It's like Groundhog Day for us as Arsenal fans.
So, just to round things up, right? What are you looking forward from now to beginning?
Apparently, Spurs are in for Bissouma. I don't know if people are winding us up, but apparently that's the news right now.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised, man. But I don't know, man. Anyway, what are you guys looking forward to most from now to beginning of the season? And what are you expecting from Arsenal? Not what you want to see, what you expect, because I think that there are two different things here. Dan.
I'm looking forward to see whether I want Mikel Arteta out or Stan Kroenke out. That's what I'm looking forward to, because this is going to tell me all I need to know. If we get back to this summer, then
Do you
Arteta,
know
I'm
what?
looking at you. If we don't get back this summer, then Kroenke, I'm looking at you. Because if we start going down this hill again that we did when we had 3 bad defeats here and there and everywhere, and this guy doesn't sack the guy, I'm coming for Kroenke. And I'm no more this Arteta out bollocks is doing my head in. Yeah, I know what Arteta is. He's shown me what he is. He ain't good enough. The minute it starts going wrong, I expect the Kroenkes to pull the plug. And if they don't, I'm coming for them and I want them out. And if the fan base don't agree with it and think I'm toxic and it's not the right thing to do and you're supposed to get behind the team, then I'm sorry, but I will not get behind the owner who allows a manager to come 8th, and 5th and then again starts to fail. So that's the way I'm seeing it. If we get backed and he's got £200 million to spend or whatever it is, and it's spent rightly in the right way, then fair play, well played, Kroenkes. You've given the manager all you need, and I expect you to sack him if it goes wrong, and I'll call Arteta out. If not, and in fact they're not going to give him anything, and they're just going to let you have Jesus and Tielemans, then sorry, man, but Kroenke needs to go, man, because I need somebody else in charge.
You said this just now, right? Did you see a story in Daily Mail a couple of days ago that apparently Arteta had a bit of a bust up with the Kroenkes because they're not acting quick enough or they're not coming up with money, that sort of.
And if that's the case, then that's why I want them gone. Because if that is true, then the Kroenkes need to go. Because it's all right spending money and it's all right spending millions and millions of pounds. But when you're handing it to novices that don't know where to spend it, we've just gone through our transfer business in the last few years, which has been nothing short of piss poor. There's only PSG, Man City and one more team, I think it might be Chelsea, but don't quote me on it, that have spent more money than Arsenal in the last few years. So why are we down in 8th and 5th while they're all winning major honours? It's a madness, mate. It's shocking to be run the way we run.
Yeah, it is. Lev, what about you? What do you think of that story that came out of Daily Mail?
Well, firstly, do you know what? I know that the Arsenal fan base are very active on social media, so I do feel that the media do try and bait our fans. So I'm not going to read too much into it. But going back to your original question as to what do I expect this transfer window rather than what do I want, going back to what do I expect the same Arsenal that I see every year, and it pains me to say it. I see us trying to just paper over the cracks rather than really do a proper job in the window, right down to the foundations where we need cover and getting the right quality. And I see us trying to cheap it. I wouldn't even be surprised. I'd say that we go into this season with Jesus as our main striker, with Eddie Nketiah as our backup. I won't be surprised to see that. I won't be surprised if we only go and get Tielemans and not address the party cover. We saw what happened to our midfield when Thomas Partey got injured. It fell to pieces. So if you don't find cover for Partey, then what are you doing? But I don't expect us to address all the issues. I don't expect us to go and get the 5 or 6 we need. I expect us to get the 3 or 4, leaving us 2 or 3 short. That's what I expect.
I agree. And I think the biggest thing for me is I don't have the confidence.
None at all.
In the owner and the recruitment team combined to address the issues that needs to be addressed at Arsenal this season, this summer transfer rather. The recruitment team being Edu, Vinay, Mikel Arteta, and the owners obviously is Kroenke Sport and Enterprise. And that's that. It worries me. It worries me because there are teams who I know will be stronger than last season. You know, Spurs will be stronger than last season. Liverpool and Man City, you know, even if they don't improve, they're still going to be probably first and second. Chelsea, there's talks that new owner is coming in. I think the new owner will come in and spend a bit of money to get the fans on board of the project again. So Chelsea will probably be stronger. Spurs will be stronger. I think Newcastle will be a lot stronger than what people will think. Next season, they'll make a couple of good signings. And it's going to be harder for us to get into the top 4. And people talked about, but he's made progress. You know, from 8th to 5th is progress. You can't say that. But you guys are not, you know, you can't have this argument comes next season and we're not in the top 4. That's not going to be progress anymore. So it worries me because I don't think they're going to address the issues that needs to be addressing. And I don't think they're going to be bringing top quality players, people who come in and start making a difference straight away. Somebody who would come in and start banging in goals straight away. Somebody who would come in and improve our midfield straight away. Yeah,
Problem is, Shaheen, very quickly as well, if they don't back him and they don't go and get the players to cover in depth that we need, inevitably that will affect us as a team. Arteta then will eventually end up getting sacked if he's not delivering. The fans will get on his back. And then what the Cronkies will do is they'll sack him. But the problem you'll have is the same problem above will remain. So, they could keep changing the manager, but if they're not backing the club the way they should be, then you can't expect anything to change.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have any confidence in them at all. And I see people actually seriously talking about the likes of Gnabry coming to Arsenal. And it's a serious topic for some people, and I'm surprised as to why do you think he would come to Arsenal at this stage. Yes, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes now, so just want to round things up. Dan, your final thoughts?
Listen, I can't say anything much more other than the way that I wrapped up previously. This summer's going to tell me everything that I need to know about the board and the ownership. And this season, I'm going to see a very different fan base, I believe, because if the answer is Arsenal are no longer in the Champions League at the end of this coming season, then I don't see how we can be showing progress, and I don't see how we can start to believe that what we're seeing in this process is a manager that is ready. And I do not understand what we need to have an exceptional season for me to turn my mind around. But actually, when you look at what we do need for a fan base that I believe should be happy, it's not coming fifth and making sure we get into the Europa League. We need to have a progression of, we're now in the Champions League. And do you know what? We're chasing after Liverpool and City, and we're going to try and get as close as we can to them the season after. That's what I see as progress. Not, I like the culture and I like the way things now look around the stadium. And I like the fact that we're refurbishing the stadium. It's such progress that I'm seeing. That's not progress to me. Yeah, that's just running of a football club. Our stadium should always be gleaming. Yeah. So someone said it in the comments, look at the Rams and look at how much effort and is going in there. You compare that to Arsenal, it's been neglected. Oh, they've spent a lot of money. Yeah, they've spent a lot of money. But look at where we've spent it on. So if we start spending loads more money again and we're getting more Tavareses and Lokongas and Ceballos and Willians, I'm tapping out and I'm done. If we actually start to see the Basumas and the Tielemans and the Tammy Abrahams coming through the door, I might start to get a little bit excited. So it's going to be interesting to see what I see this summer, because it will tell me everything I need to know.
Difficult to disagree, and it will be an interesting summer because a lot of people they're on a last chance saloon, in my view. Lev, what about you? And just before you start, Lev, you put in a show together with Mo and Mike. Do you want to tell people about that? Because that's going to be an interesting show, and it goes hand in hand with what Dan has just said.
Yeah, well, it's a perfect segue after this show, really, in the sense of we had a show a few weeks back where towards the back end of it, Mike from, is it Gooners? It's the Gooners podcast, isn't it, Mike? Yeah, and we had Mo going at it. Yeah, Magic Mike. And they were going at it in regards to the finances and the Cronkies and what they've actually invested and whether they've actually invested anything at all. And Mo was spitting some unbelievable facts, and it just sort of sparked something. And we're going to do a more in-depth show in a couple of days, or hopefully, we're just waiting for it to get finalized, where those two are going to be looking into the finances from the time that the Cronkies took over at Arsenal right up until present day. And Mo will be presenting how he believes that the Cronkies have not invested anywhere near what we think, and Mike's going to be sort of presenting an opposing element to the show. Yeah, so we're going to find out once and for all what exactly the Cronkies have spent.
Dan, you fancy coming on that?
Do you know what? That sounds good, man. Yeah, let me know. As long as I'm about, I can jump on.
That.
Listen, if you want to get involved in the conversation with Mo and Mike, you need to have your numbers ready. Get some numbers written down, and then you can come in.
I wouldn't do it. I just, thank God.
Do you know what? Actually, numbers ain't my thing. So maybe I'll let them go at it.
Dad's doing a rewind now.
It was actually quite interesting because Mo was saying something which I I'm in agreement with, that the Kroenkes actually have not spent any of their own money in Arsenal, not even a penny. They've taken money out, but they have not spent any of their own money in Arsenal. And Mike obviously had a different point of view, which was, and I agree with Mo on this one, that I don't think they have, because I've seen a couple of Arsenal accounts. And
well, look, it just puts an argument to bed, doesn't it? Rather than going, have they been good for us? Haven't they not been good for us? Let's just look at it. Look at what they've actually invested into the club. And it's sounding a bit like Arsenal have been the Kroenke side chick for a long, long time. So this is, something we want to find out. So people asking in the chat when it is we're looking at roughly Wednesday. Keep your notifications on. It's going to be this week, hopefully. And that'll be Mo with Magic Mike hashing it out in regards to the
Guys, we've got about 300 people watching and only 82 likes. This is ridiculous.
Smash it up. Come on, people.
Well, it's your charisma, Shaheen.
Hit the like button. It doesn't cost anything. Just hit the like button. You guys always kind to us, so please keep it up. Make sure you subscribe to Arsenal Lounge if you're new here. Dan has got a new channel. What was it called again, Dan? 12th Man.
Jesus, come on, man.
Football's 12th man. Nah, it's cool.
12th
Football's 12th man. Thank you, Shaheen.
Football 12th Man. Check it out and give Dan a subscribe and watch his content. We try to do more stuff together with Dan as well, because we seem to have similar sort of views in terms of manager, the players, the transfer. And I just hope, and I'm sure that I speak for Lev and Dan on this one as well, I would love Arsenal to prove us wrong in this transfer window. Go out there, make us see. Right now, I haven't even been following the news, and Lev calls me, "Oh, have you heard about that player?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't heard about that," because I'm not excited at all about the transfer window and about next season. Please make me excited. I'm a fan of this club, and the only person or the only people who can make me excited about the season and the transfer window is the ownership and the recruitment team, by getting the players in. We deserve some excitement after such a poor few years, and I just hope that they'll pull through. Lev, final thoughts?
Final thoughts is, I think we've just all got transfer PTSD from the previous seasons. We've done that, all getting excited. I do share the same sentiments as Shaheen. I want to see my club show some ambition. They let us down in January when they had a chance to show their ambition. They've let us down previous seasons. Show some ambition, Arsenal. Go out there and go and get some top quality players and improve this side. That's what I want to see. And thanks for supporting us.
All right. Well, guys, again, please hit the like button, subscribe to Arsenal Live, subscribe to Football 12th Man. Thank you very much for giving us your time this Sunday evening. And we've got that show coming up as well. Keep an eye on it. We'll announce it on Twitter and our YouTube page. Have a wonderful Sunday evening and see you guys soon.